If your Meta CPA is $50, you probably think you're acquiring customers for $50, but you're not. The issue with your CPA is that it blends new customers with returning customers, and returning customers convert at 3, 4, sometimes 5 times the rate of cold traffic. So that's naturally pulling your number down, making everything look way more efficient than it actually is. Your real cost to acquire a brand new customer is almost always 2 to 4 times higher than what you are being shown. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to calculate it, how to benchmark it against your lifetime value, and what to do once you know your real acquisition numbers. Because until you know this number, every decision about scaling is a guess. My name is Patrick O'Driscoll. I'm the co-founder and CEO of TVG, and over the last 4+ years, our team has worked with over 100 e-commerce brands. And we generated well over $200 million in combined client revenue and managed well over $50 million in paid media spend. We track new customer acquisition costs for every single brand we work with, and the gap between what brands think they're paying and what they are actually paying to acquire new customers is one of the most eye-opening things we show founders when we do audits. Here's what we're covering today. Number 1, the 3 numbers everyone confuses and why only one of them actually matters. Number 2, the exact formula to calculate your ENCAC. Number 3, why this number is almost never in your agency report. And number 4, the LTV benchmark that tells you if your ENCAC is actually safe. And 5th, what to do if your number is too high. So let's get into it. So there are typically 3 numbers brands use to measure acquisition, and most people treat them as the same thing, but they're simply not. First is CPA, your cost per acquisition. This is what you see in Meta, Google, every ad platform will tell you your CPA. It's just simply ad spend divided by attributed conversions. The problem is it counts every conversion the platform takes credit for. That includes new customers, returning customers, people who are going to buy anyway, all in one blended number. Second is blended CAC, which is customer acquisition cost. This is a step up. It takes total marketing spend and divides it by total customers acquired in a period. This is better, but it still blends new and returning customers together. Third is ENCAC, new customer acquisition costs. This is the number that actually matters, that no ad platform can lie about. It tells you exactly how much you're spending to acquire a true new customer to your brand. Returning customers are valuable, but that's not the data we want to look at when we're scaling acquisition. That's the retention side. And the metric you optimize for determines what you see. If you're only tracking CPA, you're optimizing for a number that is hiding the real cost of growth. Here's the formula. It's stupid simple. We take our total monthly ad spend and divide it by the amount of new customers as reported in our Shopify. Typically, we're looking at this on a weekly basis as well as a monthly basis to see where new customer acquisition costs are trending. Now, let me show you what this looks like with actual numbers. A brand we recently started working with had a Meta CPA sitting at $55. It looks efficient and they were planning to scale, but we ran the formula and we took their total ad spend that month, which was $45,000, and then their new customers in Shopify, which was $180. Their real new customer acquisition cost was $250, not what Meta was actually reporting. The difference between $55 and $250 is not a rounding error. This is a fundamentally different business picture. At $55, you can scale confidently, but at $250 with a 90-day LTV of $280, you are barely breaking even on every new customer you bring in. And scaling means compounding a problem, not accelerating growth if you look at CPA. So go run this formula on your own numbers right now. A lot of founders are surprised by what they find. Here's the honest reality of how most agency reports work. Agencies are measured on metrics inside of ad platforms. CPA, ROAS, CTR. These are the numbers that end up on their monthly reports, their monthly decks. And here's the thing about CPA and ROAS, they naturally look better when returning customers are in the mix. A returning customer who sees your ad and buys costs almost nothing to convert. So what that does is it boosts your ROAS and it drops your CPA. And it makes everything look like it's working. And it's not necessarily malicious. This is how most advertisers have been doing it for a while. But it's a structural problem with how acquisition metrics are built. The platform does not distinguish between a new customer and someone who bought from you 6 times already. It literally just sees the conversion. So what does this mean for you and your brand? It means you need to start asking different questions. Do not ask your agency what your CPA was this month. Ask them what your true new customer acquisition cost was. Ask them how many net new customers you acquired in Shopify. You do not have visibility into your acquisition performance. This is super important. The brands that scale to 7, 8, 9 figures are the ones who understand the difference and track this religiously. So knowing your ENCAC is step number 1. Knowing whether it's good or bad requires one more number, and that's your lifetime value. Specifically, we look at lifetime value value in different cohorts, 90 day, 6 month, 1 year. This gives you a clear picture on how quickly a new customer pays back their acquisition costs. The ratio we track is LTV to ENCAC, or even better, lifetime gross profit to ENCAC. If we look at a conservative 1-year horizon, 1-to-1 means you're losing money. You have cost of goods sold, fulfillment, overhead. There's no margin left at break even. 2-to-1 is better, but it's probably fragile. You're profitable on paper, but one bad month can hurt you. 3-to-1 is really stable. This is where you can maintain current spend confidently and possibly start to scale. If you're looking at 4-to-1, that's extremely strong. You have real room to scale. And then 5-to-1 is you're probably way underspending on acquisition and you want to bump those numbers up. Here's why this ratio changes everything. A brand with a strong lifetime value can absorb a high new customer acquisition cost. They can outbid every competitor in the auction because they know every customer is worth more over time. A brand with a weak LTV cannot. So no matter how good the creative is and no matter how optimized the campaign structure is, the unit economics do not support aggressive scaling. This is why we always say you do not fix a low LTV with better ads. You fix it with better retention. All right, so here's what to do if your NCAC is way too high. So let's just say your LTV, your lifetime value to NCAC ratio is below 3-to-1. Here's the exact sequence we work through. Step 1 is fix your exclusions. When we do a report on the ad account and we look at the targeting and see how much of our ad spend is going towards new customers versus existing customers, we might need to add exclusions, which could be a 30-day, 90-day, or full customer list, depending on the brand. If we see this happening where most of our ad spend is going towards our existing customer base, then we'll add those exclusions in. I usually recommend a minimum of a 90-day purchaser exclusion, and then start to see with the breakdown tab in Meta ads, start to see how that starts to perform as you add those exclusions in. This alone will give you a cleaner NCAC signal and often drops the real number by 15 to 25% because you're now focusing on true new customer acquisition. Step 2 is improve your front-end offer. If your cold traffic is not converting, the first purchase is too expensive or not irresistible enough. Look at the hero offer you're currently pushing. Is the perceived value dramatically higher than the price? Can you add a bundle, a bonus, or a stronger first order discount to maybe lower the friction on that first purchase? A stronger offer directly lowers NCAC. Step 3 is build a retention system before scaling spend. If your lifetime value is weak, that is a retention problem. We need to make sure we have post-purchase flows, win-back sequences, subscription programs, if applicable. These are what turn a $100 first purchase into a $400 customer over a year. Fixing retention improves your LTV to NCAC ratio without touching your acquisition at all. And once the ratio is at like a 3-to-1 or above, that is where you can scale spend aggressively. Let me give you a real example of how this plays out. We took on a supplement brand earlier this year. They were spending $40,000 a month on Meta. The reported CPA was $48, and they felt like things were working. So immediately when we did our audit, we ran the ENCAC formula. New customers in Shopify that month, 190. So the real new customer acquisition cost was $210, and their LTV at the time was $230. So the LTV to CAC ratio was 1.1 to 1. They were essentially running a break-even machine. Every dollar they spent scaling made the problem bigger because they weren't actually acquiring net new customers. So here's exactly what we did. We started to add exclusions into their campaigns to make sure 80 to 90% of our budget was going towards new customer acquisition. We rebuilt the post-purchase flow to drive a faster second order, and we restructured the front-end offer to increase average order value on the first purchase. 60 days later, we saw our NCAC drop to $82, and we saw LTV start to trend towards $280. So now the LTV to NCAC ratio is 3.4 to 1. It wasn't some crazy new ad creative strategy. We didn't rebuild all the campaigns apart from structuring them so it's focused on new customers. We fixed the economics and then we started to scale up. If you run a 7-figure e-commerce brand, you want to know what your real NCAC is and whether your LTV to NCAC ratio supports scaling, then I invite you to click the link down below to schedule our free growth audit. This is where our team sits down with you, runs the actual formula on your numbers, and tells you exactly where you stand, as well as hands over a roadmap to actually start scaling. The absolute worst case is you leave with full clarity on your unit economics and a roadmap to improve them. Or the best case is we find the levers that unlock 100,000 plus a month in profit you did not know was there. So click the link down below to get started. And if this was useful, make sure to subscribe to this channel as I put out tactical e-commerce trainings every single week. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one.